Hey there, comic book fans. I'm John Anderson. I just watched episode 9 of Legends of Tomorrow, and it was awesome. Now, I know I'm a little behind on episode 7 and 8. I meant to put them up this morning, but life happens and I wasn't able to. So I'll put them up next week as a TBT, so that way you'll have all the episodes at your disposal. Now, back to this episode. I love this episode because some of the episodes this season have kind of been hit or miss. And the ones that hit are really good, and I wish they would focus on the ones that hit, because what makes them work is the tone's very fun, and they relish in the idea of this is a bigger DC universe on the CW, and other times, not so much. So before I go any further, keep in mind we're going to be going through key plot points from the episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, here is your spoiler warning. And there it goes. So last episode we saw Kronos taking over the Wave Runner, leaving Kendra, Ray, and Sarah in 1956. And I was a little concerned about this episode because they jumped from minutes to weeks to months to years in just 10 minutes. And I was like, oh god, am I going to like how they keep jumping like this? Because I don't know if you guys saw the season finale of How I Met Your Mother, but they do that a lot and it does not work. But this episode, it totally works because each time jump kind of has a significance and it pays off in the end. So after a couple of weeks, the remainder of the team figures that their team is either not coming back or dead. So Sarah decides she's going to leave Ray and Kendra because they kind of have their own thing. She kind of feels like a third wheel. So she goes back to the League of Assassins where she thinks she belongs. And Kendra and Ray kind of flourish on their relationship. And he's actually going to propose to Kendra. And I was like, oh, that's exciting. But of course, that's the time when the team comes back to save them. Now, the returning teams only Rip, Jax, and Stein because Kronos has kidnapped Snark. Now, as they put emphasis on the idea that Snark was taken by Kronos, that led my speculation to Kronos being Mick, and it totally was, which I think is a great twist because a few episodes ago, Mick kind of went rogue and the team decided that they should leave him behind, and Snark decides he's the one who has to kill him. And obviously, given their past, he's not able to do it, and we never really saw him kill him, so I knew there was going to be some way for Mick to come back. So obviously Mick's hellbound on revenge on Snark, and he's going to go back to Central City and kill his sister, Golden Glider, and then go back in time and do it multiple times, which is super sadistic. But luckily for her, Mick discovers that the Wave Runners kind of escaped from their time warp, I guess we can call it, and he has to go and stop them. So back on the Wave Runner, the team has to go back and get Sarah, so they travel to Nana Parbat. But given that Sarah's so invested in this timeline, she's kind of lost the past person that she was, and gets the team captured. And then we get a great cameo from Ra's al Ghul, who I think I liked more in this episode than all of season 3 of Arrow, which, take that for what it is. But we also get another cameo when we see his daughter, and right off the bat I assume we're like, oh, it's Nyssa, that's cool. But when he introduces her to Sarah, he goes, oh, this is Talia, which like blew my mind because Talia is the more known daughter of Ra's al Ghul, given the Batman comics and the Arkham series, which makes a lot of sense to why they never mentioned her in Arrow, because I'm like, yeah, Nyssa, but where's Talia? And it turns out Talia is just a lot older, given Raz's immortality. So in order for Sarah to snap back into reality, in a sense, Rip decides that Kendra should fight her. A nice callback to a couple episodes ago when Sarah was struggling with her bloodlust and Kendra was struggling with hawking out. Because the first time they fought, I was kind of like, oh, this was okay. This could have been done a lot better. But now I see it was building to this moment, which makes it so significant. And I really like the thing that gets Sarah back is Kendra name drops White Canary, which could have came off really cheesy, but for some reason it seemed very organic to me. And now at this point, Mick as Kronos is attacking Nana Parbat and killing all of Raz's men, and obviously Raz doesn't like that, so he releases the Legends team to defeat him, which they're able to do. Now Snark, obviously, given the events that have just transpired, is regretting his decisions to save Mick, but for some reason the team thinks they can reinvigorate Mick, even though 2 episodes ago they didn't think it was worth it, and for some reason they can now. Not going to think too much into it. Regardless, Kendra and Ray rekindle their relationship after a slight hiccup after getting back on the Wave Runner, because Ray was super invested in the relationship back in 1958, and Kendra was kind of suffering from the same condition that Sarah was, kind of losing a bit of herself. And I really thought that Ray was going to propose to her at that point. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity, but they didn't do it for some reason. Maybe they want to wait for it. I don't know. So finally, Rip has his team back together and he decides it's time to go back on the hunt for Vandal Savage. And considering they don't have any information on his whereabouts, he decides to go back to the only time that he knows where he is, and that's 2147, at the height of his power. So that should be exciting to see what happens next episode. So that's my thoughts on episode 9. If you guys like this video, be sure to share and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook at John Ryan Anderson, or on Instagram and Twitter at The Comic Look. And remember guys, as always, comics do deserve a second